What is up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. All right, so here's the situation we have for you, ladies and gentlemen. We now have a new area of interest in the Atlantic Ocean. We also have a tropical wave going on over here in the Atlantic Ocean right here in the main development region. We're going to go ahead and talk about both of these systems right here. But first, we're going to go ahead and talk about the NHC. They tagged this northern area as an area of interest. Here's what we got going on. A non-tropical low is expected to form in a couple of days, a few hundred miles east-northeast of Bermuda. This system could gradually acquire subtropical characteristics during the middle to later portions of this week, while it drifts southeastward. By next weekend, the low is expected to turn northward and bring the system over cooler waters, ending its chances of subtropical development right here. Formation chance in the next 48 hours is at 0%. However, the formation chance in the next 7 days is 30%. It's up from 20% at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So definitely something we need to take a look at right here. And I think it's this system over here that is starting to organize and develop right there. I could be mistaken, but you have to watch out for this area right here in the subtropical Atlantic Ocean right there. And we'll keep an eye on it, but I'm mainly focused on this whole tropical wave business right there because I've been looking at some models and they are potentially calling for development of this. And I will say if it does develop, it has to do it quickly because right here around this area, there's quite a bit of wind shear, and we'll get to that in just a second. But before we do, we need to talk about pretty much the key components to this. Global sea temperatures, at least in the part of the mid-Atlantic that they're calling for development, is around 26 to 28 degrees Celsius, which is above that 80-degree threshold for hurricane or tropical system development right there. I have seen tropical storms develop in temperatures lower than 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Can it happen? Yeah, but is it often? No, not as much. But something we need to keep an eye on right here, at least going into this. So it definitely has warm water for now. It is going to be moving into cooler waters as time continues to progress. And if we take a look at the ocean heat content, this is what we have for today, July 9th, 2023. If you take a look at the OHC, it's already quite explosive across the area right here. In fact, if we go ahead and take a look at the perspective, this is what it was at this day in 2020 right here. In 2023, if we take a look at this, already with this season, the OHC is much greater, way further north than it was in 2020. This is where it was at this point in the Gulf of Mexico, especially. You can see that change right there. The loop current is absolutely conducive for development. If you take a look at OHC and warm water by itself, these areas are good for potential development as well, considering where we are now. And like I said before, and I'll say this again, we are looking at record OHC, record global sea temperatures. It's absolutely crazy. But one other component we need to take a look at is the wind shear. The wind shear in the subtropical Atlantic area right now is not very great for development. It's around 25 to 30 knots or so. So could something develop? Yeah, potentially. I've seen storm systems do that before. But is it likely to happen at this time? Unless this thing just really bursts in massive convection stuff, I don't think it's going to happen, or it's not a very likely chance of that. In fact, if we take a look at this tropical wave, where it's at the center of it, at least, it's in pretty low wind shear right now, which could definitely enhance some potential development. But just north of it is a lot of wind shear right here. So that could potentially hamper its intensification or its development as it approaches the Lesser Antilles right over here. Another component we need to take a look at is, once again, wind shear, but we will take a look at moisture in just a second. The wind shear, according to the European 12Z, is expected, at least in the MDR, to weaken slightly at where this thing is vorticity starting to fire up and push a little further to the north. In the subtropics, the shear is also expected to weaken a bit, which could help inhibit some tropical development right there. Both the Euro and GFS have something going on at that particular time. And as this system in the Caribbean approaches the Lesser Antilles, the shear moves mostly to the north, and it kind of creates this little bit of a ridge right here in the wind shear right there as it's moving through right there. So definitely something we need to pay attention to right there, as we are continuing to see weakening wind shear across the main development region. We're starting to see more fluctuating wind shear and a weakening of shear actually considerably in the Gulf of Mexico. So if, let's say, a mid-latitude cyclone wanders in there and attributes tropical characteristics, it definitely could intensify and definitely could strengthen. I've seen that before, and a prime example of this was Hurricane Barry back in 2019 and Hurricane Hannah back in 2020. So definitely something to pay attention to right here. We're also going to go ahead and take a look a little bit at the moisture component to this, where this system's going to be at for the particular time. If we go back to 0Z, this is where we're at. This is where we're at least for the system in the main development region. We're in a pocket of moist air surrounded by a bit of dry air. And in the subtropics, it's a bit of 50-50 right here. Watch as both of these things go on. It's still 50-50 pretty much across that subtropical area, but this moist pocket does expand a little bit, and the dry air does start to weaken considerably, actually, as this approaches the Lesser Antilles. So if that wave can get its act together, I definitely could see some development going on with that. So definitely something to continue to keep an eye on right there. So that's what we got going on right here. Now we're going to go ahead and show you some ensemble runs. We have the GEPS going on. We have this as of the 12Z of July 9th, and we're going to go ahead and show you, this is that tropical wave right here that is in the MDR right here as it's moving towards the Lesser Antilles. There are some runs that are indicating potential tropical storm strength with this, some strong tropical storm as it enters the Caribbean and approaches Puerto Rico, then the Dominican Republic right there. Moves through Cuba, and then one of them has it either hitting Florida, and then another one has it starting to organize a little bit and hit the Panhandle. However, I'm not sure what the shear is going to be at that particular time, around 6 days out. I can go ahead and pull that up for you right here. If we take a look at the wind shear, around 150 hours out. So that's what we got. And in the Gulf of Mexico, where that thing is, there is quite weak wind shear right over there. So definitely something, once again, to keep in mind right here. And then we're going to move on as we continue to see more and more of these potential scenarios popping up all across the Caribbean, especially towards late July, too. We're starting to see quite a few scenarios of potential hurricane strength and tropical storm strength systems going up all over the place right here. So this is definitely something I've been taking very seriously. We'll continue to update you here on the Pat's Path Predictor channel as more information continues to come out. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It helps us out, helps us make more videos like these. The goal of this channel is to get more people engaged with weather. But with that being said, have a wonderful day, guys. Stay safe.